Why did I stop telling them things first? I don't remember the exact conversation. I remember the realization. Something happened in my life, and without thinking, I reached for my phone, but I didn't call the person who for years would have been the first to know. That surprised me. There was a time when they would have heard everything first. The exciting news, the disappointing news, the ordinary things that made me laugh, the moments that mattered. Somewhere along the way, that changed. Not because we had a fight, not because I stopped caring about them. It happened so gradually that I didn't even notice it, until one day I realized someone else had become the person I wanted to tell first. Relationships usually change quietly. Most relationships don't change because of one conversation, they change one interaction at a time. You share something that's important to you. The response isn't quite what you hoped for. Maybe the conversation shifts away from your experience before you've had a chance to finish telling it. Maybe you leave feeling misunderstood. Maybe you feel judged or just don't feel heard. Then the next time something happens, you hesitate. Without realizing it, you think, maybe I'll tell someone else first. Over time, that hesitation becomes a habit. Not because you decided to pull away, but because your heart has quietly learned where it feels safest to land. It doesn't always mean you love them less. This was important for me to understand. Just because someone isn't the first person you tell anymore doesn't mean you stop loving them, doesn't mean the relationship has failed. Sometimes it simply means you've learned that different people hold different parts of your life. There are people who celebrate with you in ways that leave you feeling seen, and there are people who can sit with your pain without trying to change it. There are people who naturally make space for your experience before sharing their own. And sometimes those aren't the same people. That can be difficult to accept, especially if the relationship is one you always expected would feel different. We go where we feel understood. I've noticed something over the years. When something wonderful happens, who do you want to tell first? When your heart is breaking, who do you think about calling? The answer isn't always the person who's known you the longest. It's often the person with whom you feel understood. Not because they're perfect, not because they always know exactly what to say, but because somehow when you're with them, your experience gets to stay your experience. You don't have to compete with their story. You don't have to convince them your feelings make sense. You simply get to be who you are. If you're noticing this in one of your own relationships, you don't have to rush to judge it or explain it away. Sometimes simply recognizing the change is enough to begin understanding it. When you start questioning yourself, it's easy to wonder if there's something wrong with you. Maybe you're being too sensitive or expecting too much, or maybe you should try harder. Those thoughts can come in quickly. If you found yourself turning those questions inward, you may also find this blog helpful. Disconnection or why do I feel this way? Because sometimes the hardest part isn't recognizing the change, it's believing yourself when you do. Not every loss comes from someone leaving. Sometimes the loss is realizing a relationship no longer feels the way it once did. No one announces it. There isn't always a defining moment. There's just a realization that you've stopped reaching for someone first. That can bring sadness. It can bring relief. Sometimes it brings both at the same time. Those feelings can exist together. What I've come to understand. Looking back, I don't think I consciously decided to stop sharing first. I think I slowly learned where the parts of me felt safe. That's not a criticism of anyone. It's simply something I came to recognize. Understanding that helped me stop asking, what's wrong with this relationship, and start asking, what does this relationship have room to hold? Those are very different questions. One searches for blame, another makes space for truth. A place to talk it through. If you're realizing a relationship has changed and you're not quite sure what to do with that, you don't have to sort through it alone. At Hold, we offer a calm, confidential space where you can talk through the relationships that matter most without interruption, judgment, or advice. Sometimes the greatest clarity comes from having enough space to hear your own experience all the way through. If you're not ready for that, you're welcome to explore the other blogs here and take your time. Whatever this relationship holds for you next, I hope you find the clarity and peace you need.